All right, everyone. So welcome to the Finance and Corporate Committee meeting this afternoon. The meeting's now underway. Our chair, Councillor Brown, is online and our deputy chair is not able to attend. Therefore, we're calling on nominations to chair the meeting.
Nominate Marcus.
And I'll second that.
Thank you.
Oh,
Marcus.
that's all right. Lucky, you got all those in favour.
Oh, yeah. All those in favour?
Aye.
Great, thank you.
George, would you like to do the opening karakia?
Yeah, sure. All right, thank you. So, mā te whakapono, mā te tūmanako, mā te titiro, mā te whakarongo, mā te mahitahi, mā te whakamomori, mā te araha, ka tea e mātou.
Thank you. So, can I have apologies, please? We've got apologies from Councillor Morgan and
She's joining online.
oh, hi, Jay. She's not an apology. She's right there. All right. Is Roger there?
Yep, so there's your apologies.
I'm here,
Okay.
but for some
Oh,
reason
right.
I can't get my camera to work.
Okay, Roger's there. So, okay. So it looks like it's apologies from the Mayor for lateness, Councillor Stolwick and Councillor Coles. So, and Bruce Thomas.
Yeah.
No, it's not. So,
Yeah, he's, yeah.
yeah. Great. For a second that. Excellent. Yep. All those in favour? Carried. Right. Let's get this show on the road. Disclosure of members' interests. Do we have any of that? Nope. And then we've got any late items and we have no late items. And can I have a confirmation of the order of meeting, please? Claire and Blue. All those in favour? Carried. Confirmation of minutes of the 20th of August 2024. There is Claire has a small typographical error, so as long as we accept those with subject to the minor typographical error. Cool.
Yeah, and
So,
it's
Mike.
making sure Georgie's name's right. Yep.
And Claire. Cool. All those in favour? Carried. So item 6, the Hamilton and Waikato Tourism year-end report to the 30th of June 2024. Over to you.
Tēnā koutou katoa, lovely to see you all, and some online, some more online than others. Nice to sort of almost see you, Councillor Roger, up there. Yeah, this is our financial year-end report to June 2024. We're already September, thank you. You know, most of the way through September, so it feels like the horse has already bolted a little bit. But this will wrap up the year for you, and often it's this late because we can't get data until now. So we'll work through the report. You've got it in your agenda, and we'll go through the presentation. Thank you. I'll try and whip through fairly quickly. There has been an update to this data on your screen since I submitted the report. We've now got the June data from MB. So we'll talk about that as we go through. These bubbles up here are for the regional results, and I'll dig into your district results soon. So if we focus there on the green, that's, bless them, they've changed our data yet again. So this spend data up there is back to the electronic card transactions. So it's not total spend, doesn't account for online purchases, prepayments, cash if people are using cash, but it is purely swiping a card at a terminal in a shop. So it is only a part of your spend, part of the region spend. Sometimes it's around about a double typically, it seems, but you know, you didn't hear that here. So 784 million of electronic card transactions from the domestic market. That's for the 12 months to June. That's 6.9, nearly 7% market share of all domestic spenders in our region. And that was 3% more than the previous year. The international there is now 120 million. So down a little bit, but that's still for the 12 months. down compared to what you've got up there, but however, it's 16% more on the previous year to June. So again, electronic card transactions really need to iterate that. And that's a change from MB. That's not something we've been able to access ourselves, unfortunately. As you can see there, therefore, domestic visitors remain our main source of income across our sector. And that's actually 86% now. So we used to sit around the 75 to 80%. We're now sitting at 80%. And that's because of the growth in the domestic spend, more so than the drop off in international. Guest nights there in the purple. So that's 1.3 million commercial guest nights. So this is not Airbnbs or general B&Bs. This is commercial hotels, motels, holiday parks that contribute to the data set. Occupancy rate, we've just tipped a little bit down to 52%, which is against a New Zealand average of 55%. So not quite at the New Zealand average, but pretty good, pretty close. Business events there in the blue bubble, 84,000 delegates attended 625 events. So that's just a change of the 12-month to the 12-month rolling average there. Those events attracted 112,000 delegate days. So some events are multi-day, some are single days. So if a delegate attends a multi-day event, we times that by the number of days to get the delegate days. So 112,000 delegate days. 12,000 people employed in the sector. Now that's directly employed in the sector. That doesn't account for retail and hospitality. So that those 12,000 people were paid $41 million of employment earnings. So that's what's circling back into our communities and into people's bank accounts and paying their mortgages and their food bill. Am I not clicking? Thank you. I think you saved me over there, didn't you? Thank you. Bit of a wrap up here of our activity. So the previous slide was stats and the results of what the visitors were doing in our region. This is of our activity alone. Now there's a really big number up there, 24,500 people have been reached through our marketing and PR activity. And that's not a typo. I know another council has said, well, there must be a decimal point in the wrong place. There is absolutely not. So some of the travel TV programs that we were a part of in Australia attract many millions of eyes watching them. So this is the people reached through all of our social media campaigns, always on in our social media, our posts, campaigns, and our PR pieces of work. So it is a big number. It's a lot of eyeballs. 9 business events have been attended over the year. Now that's a mixture of trade for travel trade and business events. And we ran 8 domestic campaigns. 27 capability building videos are now available online for our operators. So it's not all about campaigns. It's also about elevating our operators' ability and being ready for visitors. 17 operator case studies are now available online for people to learn from. 12 workshops, 1,800 travel trade trained, and we submitted 20 regional bids for conferences. So overall, it was a fairly busy year.
Sorry, Claire.
Yeah, I'd just like to jump in with a question about the travel trade trained, because that was a massive increase on what your target was.
Yes,
I was
it
just
was.
wondering what was behind, your huge.
Yeah, it was travelling with Tourism New Zealand into the UK and Europe, and there were big numbers at some of those events over there. And our staff member who attended would be presenting to a room of 50 people at a time. So yeah, it did grow fairly quickly and out of ordinary compared to other years. And we'll talk about them moving forward. Start talking about this current year. Overall, pretty proud of what the team managed to pump out, while we were also a little bit distracted with ongoing viability. So we still managed to put out a lot of good work. Can you save me again, please? Sorry, Nicole. How are you? Thank you. So this digs a little bit further into those visitor employment stats that we just talked about earlier, with the 12,000 people employed in the region in tourism. We can see there was a little bit less in the accommodation and food and beverage bubble there on the left, right, but few more in activities and tours, and the transport showed an increase in employment. And again, that just reiterating that $47 million worth of employment earnings through tourism into the community. One more save, please. Thank you. Waipa data. So this is your data. I might as well just put that down. On the left is commercial bed nights, and on the right is the visitor spend. So again, just talking about visitor spend, must reiterate that is electronic card transactions. It is not a full picture. So you can see there, domestic visitors contributed $179 million worth of cards transactions, and international 17 million. Both, as you can see there on those graphs on the right, domestic at the top, international on the bottom there. Phenomenal growth, growth on last year, but even growth on pre-COVID levels, which seems to be still a little bit of a benchmark for us. So great gains there. For the domestic spend, most of that was from Waikato people visiting the district. So remember, a visitor spend is from 40 kilometres away from home. So with our region being so big, sometimes our domestic spend is from Waikato people visiting Waikato. Auckland and Bay of Plenty. And then the international major contributors were from USA, probably from attending the FIFA Women's World Cup, Australia and UK. Usually Australia is a little bit higher than US, so it was just flip the tables, and like I say, probably FIFA. On the left there is the commercial guest nights, 49, almost 50% occupancy rate. I think we'll claim it at 50. Almost 200,000 guest nights with an average guest night stay of 2 nights per stay. Now that's a little bit higher than average. Most seem to be around that 1.8 as an average guest night stay, so that's great.
And that's not including Airbnb stats.
No, that is
No.
commercial guest nights only. Yeah. So we'll see that grow when we have the Clements come online, Touchwood in March, and then new hotel eventually. So yeah.
What do you think the number would be if you had like that Airbnb numbers in?
We used to have access to
Yeah.
that data, and then they put it behind a very expensive paywall. So we haven't had that for a little while. If that paywall gets altered, and there is a data group in Wellington working on tourism data and putting out to RFP 5 projects to start getting some new data. So hopefully, look, data's often a challenge in the tourism sector, and every tourism hui we go to, data's high on the agenda. So I really hope that we'll start to get some decent data to be able to use to give a good picture. Yeah. And then the last slide, thank you, is a thank you. I just wanted to, that's a fairly quick whip through of the financial year that we've finished, but you do have all those details in your report. We're already middle of September, so 2.5 months into the current financial year. So I thought we'd talk a little bit about that as well going forward. Let's start with some positivity. The Jetstar announcement yesterday. I mean, that's incredible. It's great for the region and your district. I mean, it's in your district. And so it really means that we're poised for being, if visitors can arrive in our region, start their holidays straight away, and they're here. No messing around, not that we'll dig too many holes, but look, it is really exciting. And it's not just for our tourism operators. It's not just for the Hobbiton's and the Sanctuary Mountains and the gardens. It's for retail, it's for accommodation, it's hospitality. It's all of those people who are employed in all of those sectors. 60 new jobs at the Hamilton Airport alone. It's phenomenal. It's great news, and we should really celebrate that and keep writing those PR stories for quite a long time yet. The new hotel announced in Cambridge. Well done, congratulations. So let's get that built and actually a thing. So it certainly sounds like there's a lot of passion, ability, and experience to make that happen. The Clements, we've had a few delays in the opening of that. We understand it's now March in 2025. That's amazing, and we really need those bed nights. Jerry's got some amazing things as part of that development. The 2 new hotels announced in Hamilton City, the Templeton Group and the Pullman, the Regional Theatre due to open next year. Next year is feeling really great, and it just feels like things are starting to align. So we're feeling pretty buoyant around all that good news. The challenges for us as an organisation, and therefore flowing on a little bit, is again the funding, chestnut really. We are operating under reduced funding this financial year, And I'm not sure if you've heard the news that it has been compounded by Waitomo and Aotearoa councils withdrawing from the RTO. So we've had reductions from 3 and 2 withdrawals. So we are operating at a much lower budget and a reduced team as an impact of that and a flow-on effect from that. So we've got some great staff members and we've just appointed 2 new roles because we retrenched and had a couple didn't want to take the risk of losing their role, so they'd move to other employment. So we'll start to take our strides again, but it is a reduced focus. So up until this week's announcement, our focus had been to focus on our biggest market, domestic, and continue to grow that. Focus on our business events, to digital marketing, and continuing to support the sector to grow their ability, with a lesser focus on trade and international. However, obviously we now need to have at least an AU, an Australian presence, and we'll look at how we can do some of that. The team have already been involved with rolling out electronic billboards with the airport team into Brisbane and Sydney, and we're waiting for photos in place, but they look incredible. And we'll work with travel trade onshore rather than traipsing around offshore and internationally. So we've got some great work coming up. We could always be doing more, of course. And as you know, we're very conscious for Waipa and Waikato district councils are enhanced annual plans. I know budgets are tight, but by golly, as we steer into the long-term plan preparations, which I know are underway, all this great news, it's time to capitalise on that and really back and support the tourism sector for your community. So yeah, thank you for your support to date. It means the world, and we're ready to rock 2025.
Nicola, is there a chance now with the Jetstar announcement that Aotearoa and Waitomo could come back on board?
We'll have another discussion. I can't read that tea leaf, I'm sorry. Look, we tried a number of strategies and we didn't get it across the line. Breaks our heart, you know, Waitomo is an icon for our region, and so we really did try a number of different approaches. Yeah, we respect their decision and we keep the door open. Yeah.
Cool. Any questions? Nope. So can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Oh, yep. Mike.
Sorry, through the chair. Just those bed nights sitting at around 50%, is that, because the trend doesn't quite go back a year, is that sort of down on last year, say?
1 or 2%,
But it's
not
roughly the same,
significantly.
right?
Not significantly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, not including the Airbnb, you sort of get anecdotal feedback from some Airbnbs and they're renting their things out medium term, and because there hasn't been people around.
It's softening.
Mm.
Yeah, look, I've just had time with our Explore Central North Island colleagues in Napier last week, actually, and it sounds like that's happening quite a lot across certainly those 8 regions, that the Airbnb softened a little bit. We have had quite a few new hotels open further afield, not in our region, that could be impacting. It's hard to read.
Cool. Dale Marie.
Tēnā koutou, tēnā koe Nicole, ngā mihi mō tō kōrero i tēnei rangi. Just touching base, how's it going with those, the Tainui Waka Cultural Trust and those kind of guys?
Yeah, absolutely. Met with Tainui Waka Tourism just last week before they're about to head offshore. Great conversations, and look, we understand each other, that we're there to support all operators, cultural operators. We will never step into trying to, you know, support how to tell a cultural story. That's not our realm. That's where Tainui Waka Tourism can help, and we can help with getting them ready for the commercial sector and business ready. So we're there to support, and we're very open to referring to each other and helping each other make sure that we got those connections.
Just a secondary through the chair. Is there a possibility, because like we've looked at adopting this anchoring framework stuff, is there a possibility with your development economic group, well, your group, to maybe collaborate with some other ones that are around the country to look at getting past that paywall and maybe a collective payment with some of your other regional groups? Because, yeah, I understand how much that data would be really critical for you guys. And I'm just wondering whether there's a shared way that you guys might be able to do that.
Yeah, let's talk. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, with other regional economic development groups from
Oh,
other
sorry.
regions? Because
Sorry,
I'm thinking
yes, look,
all
we
of
already,
them.
yeah, look, we do already collaborate. Some of the data that you see is we all put a little bit in for the benefit of us all. So we do already collaborate where we can. Some of it needs to be MB and Stats NZ driven rather than RTO driven. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. And it also sort of, because I know that there were lots of questions around how do we measure what your guys' work does. Like, I understand the data that you've presented to us today, but for us that are sitting in a fiscal environment at the moment, I'm just trying to flush out, some real teethy measurements that we can provide for our constituents who have been told by the PM, we can't have wishy-washy and all of that stuff. So, yeah, I just need to have some real teethy measurements from you guys of what you've produced.
Yeah.
And I know what you have, but just what's lining up a little bit more would be good. So,
Okay,
yeah,
no, I
that's
fully
it from me.
understand that and, understand the PM's messages and your own, all councils' budgets are challenging. And so certainly understand that. And look, all RTOs up and down the country have also grappled with the same, how do we absolutely quantify what dial we're shifting in our work? And there's no perfect data set for that at the moment. We'll continue to dig into there, but yeah, that is absolutely a challenge, and I absolutely concur with that, Councillor Dale. Thank you.
Cool. Andrew.
Yeah, thanks, Marcus, through you. Nicola, I just wanted to acknowledge the results you have achieved in what have been very difficult circumstances. I think you and your team have done an amazing job considering, how tough a year it's been for everyone in the sector, really. So thanks. I just want to say thanks very much.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you.
Great. So can I have a mover and seconder, please, to accept the report? So Lou and Claire, all those in favour?
Aye.
Carried. Thanks very much for your time.
Hey.
That was cool. All righty. So next up is item 7, the finance report for the period ended 31st of August 2024.
Afternoon, everyone. We have the finance results for August. We are currently income and expenditure at 15% of the forecast. Our capital expenditure is 17.4 million at 8% of the forecast. We had a total of 44.3 million carried forward from 23-24 to the current year to complete 23-24 contracts, which now leaves our capital forecast budget at 208.3 million. Our rates, we currently have 775,000 outstanding from the previous year, and we have a balance outstanding of 1.9 million after our billing of the first instalment. And the water rates, we have 3.1 million that's been invoiced for the year, and we have 1.7 million outstanding. And I'll take any questions.
Yeah, I've got a question about the rate status. Are you noticing an increase in the amount of outstanding rates and water rates? Is it growing?
When I look, so our percentages are pretty much on par. I think it's just that, so our penalties have gone up because we've gone back to the 10%, I think, that we've added on. So I think the number of properties is still around the same. But yeah, I can look into it though and see if there's a trend. Yeah.
Cool. Claire.
Yeah, thanks a lot. You just on, I mean, I had a question also around what Marcus was talking about, because we do have information in the waters section of the number of properties that are in arrears. I mean, it'd be quite good to have, I suppose, a quarterly breakdown of the number of properties in arrears for rates, so we can see at a glance whether they're going up and down. And often it's not necessarily about the quantum that they owe, just the fact that we know that there might be 10 properties or 15 or how many, just, you know, that kind of thing. Yeah, just so we can understand the trend.
Yeah, okay, so based on the request from this committee in the previous financial year, we have that information to show, so we'll build something in as a trend analysis.
Yeah, oh, that's great. I really appreciate that. And then on page 41 of our report and 4 of your report, it's the key risk indicator report. And if you have a look in the centre, it's got the delivery of the CapEx program against the annual plan. And at the bottom of those indicators, you've got, you know, obviously some orange and red. Yeah, so I'd be keen to just have some commentary on what's behind the fact that there were really only, this is the first report we've had in the current financial year, and yet we've got projects 80%, levels of service is already red. Yeah, so I was a bit surprised that, yeah, you're already feeling that you're not going to achieve that target, and yet we're in the first quarter, really. Yeah, or just past the first quarter. Yeah.
Probably just through the chair, Claire, so we can come back with further information about that. It is very early days in the capital delivery, and we are in just coming out of winter as well. So it's not our high sort of infrastructure sort of delivery period, if you get what I mean. So so that's probably influencing it, but we can provide more detail next time.
Thanks. I mean, as you say, it might be a moving feast. I don't know, but you know, you've put those colours in there, so you've obviously decided it might be at risk. And then just going back a page to page 3 with the chart of the capital expenditure actual compared to forecast. Yeah, I'm not worried about the blue ones, you know, because as you said, you know, we're early on. But if you just look at the stormwater, you know, like the annual plan was say at 25 million, but now the current forecast has gone up, okay, to 45 million. So, and again, it's in the first quarter. So there's no commentary on why that's being reforecast. Well, I suspect you haven't done any reforecasting since July. Yeah, just to understand a bit more about that. Yeah.
It's the carry forwards.
Oh, the carry forwards? Oh,
Yep.
right. Yep, cool.
Yep.
Excellent.
They're driving that.
Oh, okay. So when you do the annual plan, you do not take into account any carry forwards at that time, is it at all? So in fact, if we do lots of carry forwards, it's always going to put it out.
Yes,
Yeah,
so that
yeah.
becomes the forecast, which is the
Oh,
new
right. I see
measure
what you mean. Yeah.
for the remainder of the year.
All right. Yes, I've learned something. Okay, cool. No, thank you very much. Cool.
you.
Thank you.
Mike?
Through the chair. Just a question, and I can't see it in here. So do we have any grants that, like for Tarawai, et cetera, that sit in here that we have to give back, or were they sort of just committed, but we never received the money? Is there anything in here in terms of grants projects that aren't going forward that sit in the finances that are really become now a liability?
The only one that comes to mind, Mike, is the Better Off funding, which has been redeployed to water projects.
Oh, yeah.
So there's none other that I can.
Fine.
recall
Thank you
now.
for that.
Any further questions? Oh, sorry. Wind it out.
Yeah, there's another one. It's about the development contribution. So that's on page 5. And I'm at the bottom of the page here. It's giving a breakdown of the various aspects of the DCs that we're getting, and that's really helpful. I was wondering if I could push my luck and ask for some sort of reporting about whether or not those receipts that are obviously expected, whether or not they actually eventuate. I was thinking it's kind of like, I know that for each of the years of, say, a long-term plan, you've already forecast what your receipts are likely to be for DCs. So what's the mechanism to work out whether or not what you forecast is actually being achieved? Yeah, that kind of thing, so that we know if there've perhaps been, I suppose, rescheduling or requests to delay or deals that, yeah, changes the way it's paid. So we don't have any visibility on that at the moment, but it is a pretty important part of our budgeting, yeah.
Yeah, we'll work with Tony from Development Engineering and see what we can put together.
Mike?
Just following on from that, the current cadence for reforecasting DCs, that already happens twice a year or something, doesn't it?
So we're looking at 4-month and 8-month report stage. I know in a previous meeting you did ask that we keep a closer eye on that, noting that that impacts our external debt and the projections going forward. So yeah, we'll keep a closer eye on that during the year.
And look, I just had a question about the rates penalty. You just said something about the 10% back in. I didn't know, had it gone over COVID or something?
Yeah, so during COVID, I think in the earlier years of 21-31 LTP, we added 3%. In the 23-24 annual plan, that moved back to 10% as our normal policy.
And the 1.9 million outstanding from the August tranche, that's not the penalty date, so we're not getting, there's not penalties on all of that automatically on what you're reporting, is that right?
I will have to double check that.
Yeah.
Because the penalty date's different to the payment date, eh?
Yes.
Yeah,
And then there's remissions as well.
right,
That comes in. Yeah.
okay.
Cool. Right, can I have a mover and seconder, please, to accept the report? So Claire and Mike, all those in favour? Aye. Carried. Thanks very much. Great. So item 8, the new community leases, Cambridge Dog Obedience Club Incorporated and Hautapu Sports Recreation Incorporated. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and committee members. You probably will see me before by now, but Angela McEwen from Council's property team. You'll see that I've got a few on the agenda, so we'll run through them for you as quickly as we can. The first report today is seeking consent from the committee to grant 2 new leases for part of the Cambridge Town Belt. One is to the Cambridge Dog Obedience Club and adjoining but one parcel of land to the Hautapu Rugby Club. So they're all on that same little strip over by the high school. Both clubs are the existing long-standing tenants. I think they've both been there for a number of years now and wish to continue with the same activities. The leases are proposed to be granted in line with Council's community leasing policy, except in these instances, they'll only be granted for a term of 5 years with no rights of renewal. The reason for that is behind the scenes, there has been community services have been undertaking some work with regards to a sports field model review and how that's going to look in the future. And these short-term leases give our lessees some security of tenure in the meantime. Okay. Happy to take any questions.
Lou.
Yeah, just a quick question, actually. With the sports ground, Hautapu, we're only giving them 5 years extension. Have they just been discussed that, or had they discussed that option with?
Yeah, they've all been, all of the clubs have been really heavily involved in the lease model review that's been undertaken by community services team rather than property. Everybody's, there was a big consultations going on. We all met individually with all of the sports groups. So they're all aware of the reasons for the shorter term leases while those reviews are being undertaken.
No, that's fine. It is just, I wondered whether they'd actually been consulted, because it didn't actually say that in the prelude that we read. Simply in the fact that that means that they are in a situation that they don't have secure tenure on that property if they were looking to add to their facilities such as irrigation or their facilities. So I just wondered what their thoughts were on that. Thank you.
Cool. Mike?
Just with the dog obedience lease on the corner of Taylor and Swain Road, has there been talks between council, ministry or whatever and the high school about the possibility of trying to work some sort of deal there for extra space for the high school? Or are you aware of anything there, or is there?
There has in the past, and
Yeah.
I know there's a few groups, there's talks of certain other things going on there. I've not been over that
No.
myself. That has gone a bit quiet in the last year or so, I think. But I do know that there's been a little bit of interest from the school taking on. There is there's an empty field in between where Hautapu Rugby stops.
Mm,
And then there's an empty field, and then you have dog obedience,
yeah.
and then the public park. So there is a space there potentially for the high school to have some sort of arrangement with, regardless of these leases going ahead.
Yeah, right. I think it's just something that this group just needs to be aware of, that as that school grows and there's no other high school on the horizon, that they probably are going to be looking for additional space on that green belt. So yeah, I wouldn't want to get locked into this particular lease for too long, only because of that. But just a comment really.
Thank you. So can I have a mover and a seconder, please, to accept the recommendation? Pierre and Lou, all those in favour? Carried. Thanks very much. And so Angela, moving on to the community lease Te Awamutu Netball Centre. And I guess we can possibly take that one as read as well. Is there any questions on the lease for this one? Yeah, Lou?
I'll just quickly speak to it. I think this is a great lease. They need it. They need a bit of continuity. They spent a lot of time and effort down there. Just resurfaced the netball courts actually a wee while ago now. But netball certainly needs that facility. And I think it does a great job in its current environment. So I'd tentatively move there. We accept that.
And Claire will second. All those in favour? Right, carried. Great. And now moving on to the community lease for Te Awamutu Brass Bands. Does any questions on this one? Oh, Claire is happy to move. Mike's happy to second. All those in favour? Right, carried. And now the next one is variation of lease for the Cambridge Community House Trust. Is there any discussion on this one?
Leave it to the Cambridge people.
Oh, yeah, Roger?
No, just willing to move this one.
Roger's moving. All those in favour?
Aye.
Carried. And the next one, oh, that's it.
That's it.
Oh, well done.
Thank you so much.
Did you keep up, Claire? You're right.
Thank you all for your time.
No worries, Angela. That's fine. Now we'll just take a 5-minute break so Claire can catch her breath.
I don't blame you.
So tab 2, which is the Karapiro Lake Domain temporary liquor bans for the 24-25 season. I believe we can take this one as read as well because we're pretty familiar with this. Is there anything you want to highlight in particular, David?
Tēnā koutou katoa. No, just it's a reoccurring report that comes through the council.
So all those in mover, Claire and Lou, all those in favour?
Happy to
Aye.
move.
Carried.
Yeah.
Thank you. And so now we will, resolution to exclude the public, please. So can I have a mover and a seconder? So Claire and Lou, all those in favour?
You better get in here, Mike.